Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. I do upload on Mondays and Thursdays, and then a short philosophical upload on Friday to kick off our weekend. This video, I'd like to follow the last two in which I was really prefacing and preparing us for the election here in this country, America, and then the outcome of that and how we are able to adjust and receive these changes that come as a result of the election, major election like this one. I'll drop those into the description box for your convenience if you haven't seen them. Good recommendation for you to go and see them first so that you could relate to what this topic is, and that is Dr. Phil's involvement or what I'm calling the perturbed Dr. Phil. Now, I see I need to make a little adjustment here. Get a little bit better lighting. But y'all, I like to do y'all right. Well, I'm not loving it, so I want to love it. Work with me. Work. I like that. I like that. I love it. Okay. Yeah, I gotta do y'all right. I'm going to drop the link into the description box and also in the comments section of this video of an interview with Dr. Phil before the election. So this is why in my head, I believe it did have some impact. I don't think that it changed the outcome ultimately, but it certainly did have some impact, I believe, on the election. But at any rate, Dr. Phil was a guest on the Piers Morgan show. And it really surprised me in the way that he was coming across, I'll say. Dr. Phil shared with Piers Morgan that he was very disturbed and bothered that he had reached out to the Harris campaign 25 times, he said, repeatedly 25 times, and they never got back to me. And he felt shunned and dismissed and ignored, and how that didn't sit well with him. Now, that's one thing, because as I mentioned in the last upload, just the last one from yesterday, actually, that Kamala Harris did enlist quite an elitist line of endorsements. And, some of them included, as I said, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Oprah Winfrey, the Obamas, even Beyonce. And perhaps Dr. Phil just felt his name should land on that list as far as presentation too. But his calls were never returned. And he felt shunned and he felt dismissed. And he shares this with Piers Morgan. Now, that's one thing. For him to feel left out or unincluded and even ignored, I would say, if you call somebody 25 times, well, first of all, I'm not going to call you 25 times. Something like that, maybe I would give it a hearty effort, but I doubt I get into the double digits. After that, I'm like, you're just too busy. I should see you next time. But he was forcing his way, and I think 25 times to me is you're pushing your way into it. And he was not heard, and he was not invited in. Now, these are his words. He felt that he wasn't a part of the group, I'd say. And he goes on to share this with Piers Morgan. So let's unpack that a little bit. Let's just discuss that a little bit. From my perspective, being a person that deals with personalities, I'd say, and the ego of a personality, I'd say. Occasionally, it is the ego. I would say this. It's one thing to have that feeling, justified or not, and just take it for what it's worth. And then afterwards, after things calm down, maybe after the election, maybe follow up. Maybe they just didn't, the whole team wasn't able to get back to you. But then follow up and say, hey, are we okay? I really reached out to you. I wanted to support you. Inquire is what I say. But did Dr. Phil do that? Mm-mm. what he did, his actions line up with the other part of the video I made yesterday, where I was saying the soul of America is in turmoil. The soul of America is in crisis. The heart of America is cantankerous. This is why people in high positions can do the deeds that he did and do the deeds and talk the way they talk openly on the campaign trail. It is no sense of virtue, no sense of grace and genteel as in politeness. It's just like that is just like old Mother Gooseish to some degree, because we have dismissed favorable mannerisms. And I'm a high proponent of that. You can have fun. We don't have to be like all, churchy and holier than that all the time. I'm talking about the sense of respect and reverence, at least from yourself unto others. The action that Dr. Phil took, I thought, was very lowballing. What he did was he went to the Trump campaign and made an appearance. That action right there says to me, if you won't let me in on your team, I'm going to the other team and Trump thump you. That type of, there's a word for it, passive aggressive ways, distrustful, sour puss. All of that is what I mean by the cantankerous heart. If you watch my videos before, you hear me reference often, when you want to find the root truth of a troubled soul, you have to go to the person's basement. It's way down there. You're not just going to just sit across each other at dinner and talk about it. You just got to get to the root truth. You go deep into the person's basement. And what Dr. Phil did by going on, even speaking at Trump's campaign. Now, again, I'm not speaking politics and endorsements and support at this point. I'm speaking about the ways of a person. It was vengeful. It was, you didn't let me on your team, so I'm going to get you back. I'm going to the other guy. Check this out. Ooh, it's that. And that is the problem in this country. And that is the problem in the workplace. And that is the problem in relationships. And that is the reason why people destroy each other in divorce. You love that person so much, and now you're getting into divorce, you're going to them to the bone. This is the problem. The problem is in the basement of the person. Now, here is Dr. Phil, a person who gives advice to people on the best way to do it. How is that working out for you? All of that. Well, you know what, Dr. Phil? Look at the outlandish response you're getting from Oprah and others about that. How is that working out for you? How's that working out for you? Because now you can't retract your appearance with the Trump campaign. You can't retract your appearance on Piers Morgan, by which you linked and braided the two. The reason I went is I called her 25 times and she never called me back. So I went to the Trump. All of that. This is disturbing. That's a disturbed soul. Now, these are my words. And I'm not a therapist, but guess what? I have an abundance, probably more than I ever want to admit to, experience having to deal with the ego of a person. And that's 1,000%. You're mad because they didn't respond to you and you didn't get your way. That's an ego. That's narcissism. Those are narcissistic traits. This is why people whom we pedestal, we put on a pedestal, can do these actions with no regard. They come from what I call a stirred up soul. And how best to outpour from that stirred up soul is when you rub against them the wrong way. There's a lashing that comes for you. All of that, all of that. It is a disturbing. And this is why they often say, when you work around that, or when you are a person who has to address that, or you're involved with helping to diminish that, when you do, get ready for them to attack you too. Because now you're dealing with the God of a person. I've done many videos. I'll drop some in the description box or some in the comment section so you can see where I say you're no longer dealing with the person. You're dealing with the ego. And if you can't correct the ego, and if you dare try, they'll come for you. But if you can't get through to the ego, you're no longer dealing with the ego. You're dealing with the God of the person. It's just the reality for whatever it's worth. And this is why sometimes it's very difficult to make progress when change is required. And that's how our country has stifled, I'd say, in its mannerisms and its virtue and its gratuitousness, because they find it to be weak. It's not weak at all. It is a way of presentation like everything else. But to go to the other side, because the side you reached out to didn't take your call, the audacious response you gave was to go to the other side and give a speech. That is, I don't know that you'll ever live that down, Dr. Phil. Now, doesn't mean your career is ruined and Oprah may not ever return your call or anything. I'm just talking about the action and the boldness to go out publicly and discuss it. I would think, now this is me, I would think if I kind of came that way, the last thing I'm gonna do is let you know I did that. Because at least publicly abroad, I may let my closest friends know. But I can't even imagine doing such a thing. I would just say, you know, I'm gonna I'm gonna be in the crowd for them. I don't have to speak. I'm going to be in the room. I'm going to support on my channel. I would do it that way because they didn't give you the stage or because they didn't return your call. And what is it that you made 25? Let's talk about the bill collectors stop at about 15. I mean, why you call 25 times? Why are you calling? Let's address you. You know what? Listen, Dr. Phil, how's that working out for you? Oh, I think it's time. Wait a minute. I got to put on my rich red, y'all. Hold on. I talked to you for a minute. Hold on. When I put this ruby roo on, come here, boo. Let me tell you something. Let me talk to you. Let me say this to you. When you comfortably do that, you are sirening, you are speaking out loud your own depth of pain. It is what I would call the response of a privileged soul. How dare you not call me back? Now, this woman's running for president. How dare you not call me back? It's all ego. And it's so boisterous. It was bold enough to state it. It wants you to know it. All of that. That is sickness. That's sickness. And that is the sickness of a soul. And now here you are trying to help people. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Dr. Phil, here you are trying to help people from a sick soul yourself because there's just absolutely no reason for you to be hammering 25 phone calls. They stopped, they did, well, first of all, they didn't take your call, but they didn't respond, I would think after 5 times. If a person called me so many times, now I've often said before, I don't use the block feature on my phone. I think I've used it twice. Both times they were funny, funny little things. I unblocked the first and I said, come back. Um, I don't use the block feature because I feel like if you overstep the line by which I feel that I need to block you, I will let you know first. I will let you know what you did, and I will say how that dishonored me, or how that disrespected me, or how that really crossed the line. And I'm not sure that it can be corrected now, which is why I feel that we don't need to speak anymore. And I probably still wouldn't block the person because maybe after time, if they happen to call, I would take the call from a different frame of mind. But I don't block people because I feel blocking or dismissing or ghosting and all of that doesn't allow a decent closure. And the decent closure is what sets the issue free. Not you free, but sets the issue free. Now, these are just my thoughts. So I will give the conversation and I will keep the door open because people correct themselves. People change and adjust, and we'll have to give that an opportunity. But in this case, it was detrimental. It was a it was a detrimental act, such to the point that it disturbed an election to some degree or another and ended a campaign. Whether or not it had a great impact, it was the act by which was done. I'm not sure that that could be, I wouldn't say forgiven, but I can't say that that would be not considered in speaking with you in the future because that was just, and then going to the other side. Even if it was vice versa and it was Trump that he was trying to reach, and so then he went to Kamala, it doesn't matter. It's the act of the heart that's cantankerous and the soul that's sick. Sick souls come from cantankerous hearts that make you do foul actions, and there's no other way of putting it. Ain't that the truth? So you know what, Dr. Phil? I just gave you a little therapy. Okay, go fix you. Go fix you while you did that. And boy, you do need to apologize deeply and regretfully, forcefully, because it was very low down, I thought. So I'll drop the link to that interview. I guess I had a feeling about it. I'll drop the link to that interview into the description box. And I'm coming. I'll drop the link to that interview with Pierce Morrison into the description box and also into the comment section for your leisure. Take a look at yourself and take a look for yourself and get your own review and feedback as to what you thought. But I just thought it was. Anyway, have a great week. If you've gotten this far, please click like, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Keep your soul well.